Welcome to the December meeting for the West Rock Hill Township Board of Supervisors. First thing on our agenda is call of order, Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone will stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In case anybody was wondering, we actually have the gavel from the township. We have the brass gavel, which my great-grandfather had from being part of Sellersville Borough and Temple Owls. So, okay, the first thing that we have is if anybody has any interest or concern on items on the public agenda, essentially anything that we should be listening to, anything that you think that the supervisors need to know about before we get into the discussion of upcoming events, please let us know. And also please come up to the microphone because this is recorded. Unfortunately, the microphone picks up. The rest of the room is kind of masked for sound, so.
Okay, I don't know if this is on the agenda, but it's something I wanted to address, and it's issues with the pool.
Need your name and
Oh,
address.
sorry. Angela Goodwin, 1730 Tabor Road. One was the referendum vote was a close tie, and I believe we would have reached more people. If we would have reached more people to explain the situation, it would have been a higher amount of people in favor of the pool. The way it was worded in the newsletter was misleading and confusing for residents. Exactly what I had would happen in the what I mentioned would happen in the meeting a couple of months ago. You worded in more in the township's favor. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I got lost in my words. You also put the cart before the horse with the amount you mentioned. We would like to keep the pool a small local pool, not another water park. That's what everybody wants to see. 2, the COVID relief funds. You gave money to other local businesses in the area, which I'm very happy that they received, but you discarded the pool. This pool still needed to be maintained even though it was not open. You put funds towards fixing roads, but we should have tax dollars already set to the side for that. 3, you want the pool to be self-sufficient, but I do not know one pool in our surrounding area that is. They all receive funds from their townships or utility companies to keep it running. They all realize the pool is an asset to the community. 4, this township has not increased the budget to help maintain this pool since the 70s. You spent more money to purchase a new tractor that was only a couple years old than what's in the budget for the pool. 5, I believe the attendance is low on the pool because people are not aware this pool is here. Plus, due to the township, every year we do not know if it will open. This township does not help with that at all. You do not advertise or mention the pool anywhere. 6, we have a lot of new construction going on in this township and surrounding ones. Can you imagine what the surrounding pools will be like if this one closes? 7, I am new to this board, so I do not know what's caused the animosity between the township board and the Joint Rec Authority. But due to your own personal feelings, our township residents are being affected, and it's not fair to us. 8, I'm ashamed as a longtime resident of this township for the way this board has treated the volunteers on the Joint Rec Board. You should be working with us as you do the Park and Rec Board, not turning your back on us. We are not getting paid. We are all volunteers and should be treated the same as other board members in this community.
Thank you. And just for clarification, I'm Hal Shermer. We have Jay Kaiser, David Collingwood. I'm the chairman of the board over the last year. I'm also the vice chairman for Holiday House Pool Board. The prior speaker is one of the appointed board members for the West Rock Hill Sellersville Joint Recreation Authority, otherwise known as the Holiday House Pool Board. The Holiday House Pool Board was formed back in actually Valentine's Day, February 14th, I think 1969. 3 members from Sullivan Borough, 3 members from West Rock Hill Township. So, and I think probably February 15 is when everybody started fighting about who's in charge of the pool the day after it was formed. And it still continues today, and we're still trying to work that out. But last year we had a good year. This year we expect we're going to be opening. We've had a couple questions. Yes, the pool is planning to open. And we've had a lot of investment, and for the first time in many, many years, a lot of volunteers coming in helping out. That's all that's all I should say right now. And we had other questions from the board or from the audience.
I'm Cheryl Kagasi, Augustine Road. I'm also talking about the pool, basically. I'm sorry. Basically what she was saying, and I know as of last month, there was 38,500 left on the ARP. And I'd like to know where that money is going to be going, and if that could go for a new pump to help with the pump, that would be really appreciative. But basically she took everything up. That's fine. No, that's fine. But you got to think about the daycare that goes there, Coach White with his sports. We don't need, like she said, we don't need an aquatic center like they do have over in Menlo. And they even advertise that over in Percy, the aquatic center of Menlo. So I'm hoping that the rest of this money, the ARP money, like you said, went to everywhere else. We don't need a roof over the dog park. I never see dogs up there. So I can't see having money spent on that roof for that dog. When I'm up there, I see no dogs up there. People walking their dogs, but not in that little area. So I hope that the rest of this money could go towards the pool because we all need it as a community. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I had mentioned before when I was discussing or giving 2 months ago, I was not here last month. Food poisoning, lots of time in the bathroom. Didn't need to be here, unfortunately, or couldn't be here, unfortunately. But prior to that, we did have, or I had noticed that, for background, since we're talking about Holiday House Pool, the pool was started up between West Rock Hill and Sullivanville in 1969. And we had approximately $15,000 in 1970s money is what the pool was funded by West Rock Hill and by Sellersville for 30 years to pay off a mortgage. 15,000 in 1970s money is about 150,000. After the pool was paid off, we kept the money at the 1970s rate, but never indexed it up. So we've had $13,000 being paid into the pool for the last 20 something years.
That's not true. That's not true, Hal.
But we've
It was
had,
$10,000 a year we used to pay, and Jeff Markley, when he came to us and asked for us to increase the 13,000, we increased it to 13,000.
Yep.
Okay, those are facts. That's a fact.
oh, it was 15,000 under the old rental agreement from 1971 to the late 2000s. We then had the shift of we paid off the pool, and then for a brief period it was a couple thousand, but came back up. But we've had very little investment in the pool over the last 20, 30 years. But the exact amount, it's gone up and down because township and borough have both helped out, because when something breaks, the township has stepped up and helped out that, okay, we need a new pump, we need this, we need a new electric panel. And so there are some years where it's 15,000, 13,000, and then we get an extra 20 or 30. But we're all still trying to figure out how do we fund the pool and what importance is the pool to the community, which we're still obviously discussing and debating.
You should also point out that last year we gave $50,000 to the pool, okay? Above and beyond, okay?
Oh,
And in 2019, there was a motion made and second to give the pool $19,000 with no reason behind it, other than the pool needed money. If you follow the minutes and you follow the path of this, this is a constant issue that we're coming up with. We want the pool to succeed, but the pool has to work for itself. You have 58 season ticket holders from West Rock Hill Township. How can you possibly give $100,000 when only that many people out of 5,000, 5,500 people are using it? You got to use common sense with your money. They say that the folks say that the vote was very close. Okay. So my suggestion is go sell season tickets to those 44% or whatever voted yes for the pool. I'm a season ticket buyer and I donate it to it every time. That's what the Joint Rec Authority should be doing. I'm not going to get into a discussion with you. I'm making a statement, public statement in response to
Every
this. You did yours.
discussion goes to the chair.
That's right.
Sorry.
So those things, I'm just pointing out some things that have been done and that this township has worked hard to try and help the pool get going and has given suggestions. Can't spend money you don't have. There's tough decisions to be, and you have to go out and you got to beat the street to get money.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
No, and
Just making that
and-
point.
Oh, I fully agree. And we've had a almost complete turnover of the board over the last couple of years. So for the first time, we have 4 or 5 figures worth of fundraising. We have lots of people interested. So everybody's interested and we are trying to move forward. So if we have any other public, okay.
Hello, Roseanne Davis, East Rock Hill. I've went out and beat the streets all year. I'm on the fundraising committee. Not one time, I'm not trying, I respectfully accept when you guys invite us to do your West Rock Hill events. Shelley approached you in the BFW for the polling and had said how we get ignored at your events. You guys don't even say hi. You just walk right past us. There's a gentleman here that you always walk up to. We're right next to them at every event. I think if we try to work together and not be ignoring each other, and I think, Mr. Kaiser, you know what Shelley had said to you. And I think we work together more instead of fighting about
Comments
this.
go to the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I don't know the rules. I'm not on the
That's
board.
a,
I'm on the fundraiser, but I just,
Well, I understand.
if
I'm
we
just-
work together, you know what I mean? And
comments go to the entire board, not one person.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just would like to have the pool. That's all. Thanks.
I'd like to make some comments, but I'm not.
He can't do that.
Oh,
This is on the agenda. item.
this is a public comment on agenda items.
So the pool's not on the agenda though.
It's not
Yeah.
on the agenda. He's left things.
It's a report. Well, the Joint Rec Authority is
I'll wait
part,
till the end, that's fine. I don't want to carry it away. I want to talk about, so you tell me if it's on the agenda or not. I want to talk about the gas leak.
that would be public comment towards the end.
All right, very good. That's one.
Okay, anybody else? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, we actually now get to the announcements, executive session held following dealing with real estate, and we have our consent agenda, which goes through.
You have one more announcement that Mary is here.
Yes, we have, unfortunately, well, our solicitor is a little bit under the weather and is now connected through,
My computer sitting here. So she can hear and she'll join in.
so everybody wave to the computer and say hi.
Hi, Mary.
So we do have our solicitor here virtually. So although it seems like I'm probably dating myself, it seems like Red Dwarf and Talkie Toaster, but this is, we have our solicitor who is here virtually, a little bit under the weather. Okay, that now out of the way, I think we've gotten through most of all of the announcements, executive agenda, executive session following, and we go through. We have our consent agenda, which is the November meeting minutes, wind plan, action on plans, emergency services, building, zoning, public works, park and rec. We have a couple of pages to be signed at the end of the meeting and our treasurer's report. And I will turn it over to Mr. Lippincott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll read the treasurer's report as of November 30th, 2024. The general fund, $1,335,042.06. Highway aid, $215,403.04. Open space, $1,664,714.09. The park fund, $100,961.42. The equipment fund, $33,935.35. Highway capital, $144.24. The street light, $39,529.42. General fund reserve, $504,121.95. The American Rescue Plan, $139,053.93. Open space Manderfield, $41,646.58. Sewage maintenance fund, $214,554.48. The stormwater fund, $1,509.27, and the escrow funds, $2,543,896.50.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lippincott. Greg is our manager in case anybody doesn't know all of the names for the people up on the board.
I have reviewed everything on the consent agenda. I have no questions or comments. I'll make a motion to approve if Mr. Kaiser has nothing.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we have no confirmed appointments. And we get to the commission reports. We have our planning commission head, Mr. Durstein, sorry.
You got it right this time? All right, thank you. Planning Commission met last Tuesday. We had 3 applicants. First was Telford Borough Authority. They are seeking waivers of land development for construction of PFAS treatment facility, additions onto number 5 and number 7 well. Number 5 is County Line Road by the Hill Farm, and number 7, I believe, is on the Drager property.
Yes.
So they are here tonight to present. So I'm going to be
They're here
brief.
tonight?
Yeah.
Have a chance to talk with them when
Mhm.
engineer does his report.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. That's when they'll be up. Yes. So anyway, I'll be brief. This is a EPA matter, so looks like they have to do it. So they will be presenting. So PC is recommending waiver of land development. Any questions on that?
Yep. The planning commission is recorded and is available if you need to review anything. It's on YouTube. I did not make the meeting, but I did review the entire 2-hour meeting, so I have no questions on that. And if anybody else listening is in type, if anybody else needs to catch up, it is on YouTube. Well, there is actually a West Rock Hill channel, which has the township meeting and the planning commission meetings.
Good?
Yep.
All right. So second was CSAC, and you're here tonight? Yeah, you are. They're proposing to construct a 9,750 square foot lawn care and landscaping business building on 2.8 acres on Forest Road. The site is on the south side of Forest Road, 2 parcels east of Old Mill. Yeah. They were previously in with another. I don't know if they actually made it in. We saw a plan for it was going to be a cabinet shop there.
Right.
Anyway, this is going to be a landscape business. It's in the PC2, on-site water, and they're going to have holding tank for septic. They have a handful of waivers, some of which deal with road improvements, and due to the low impact of the business, we're on board with approving the waivers, but we did have some conversation about future commercial development in that PC2 district there, especially Forest Road. And again, PC was comparable for now with this being the initial commercial property going in that zone. But we're wondering if we should start requiring more of the improvements as things develop there. The owner seemed amenable to maybe constructing improvements down the road if it gets further commercially developed. So, that being said, we're recommending conditional preliminary final, and again, they will be up to present tonight. Any questions on that?
I have none.
Not on that project or the other.
All right. So last project was Benea Durstein Warehouse. I wish they were here tonight because I have a long report for them. It's at 3115 Old State Road. It's the Durstein Cold Storage. They're proposing a 104,430 square foot 104,430 square foot cold storage warehouse. This has been reduced in size from their previous plan. They're also proposing a 10,551 square foot future building on the western side. So it'll be on the meeting house side of the building. This would be a future addition. And then they're also showing a future redevelopment building addition to the east side of the warehouse toward 309. And again, it's a future development, so they're not going to do much, but maybe grade it down a little bit to plan for it in the future. It's on 11.38 acres in the planned industrial. Their access driveway would be on Meeting House Road. So the entrance now to that property, there's a house and a barn that they're going to be raised. The entrance is on Old State, so they're going to eliminate that. The entrance will be on Meeting House. So they're requesting a number of waivers, primarily dealing with improvements in landscaping. As far as road improvements go, they're requesting to waive sidewalks on both roads, Old State and Meeting House. We've had discussion about sidewalks on Meeting House Road and trying to get some type of pedestrian connectivity to the Wawa that's coming in. There's definite challenges off-site on Meeting House with existing structures that are pretty close to the road, but they're gonna. I guess you guys are gonna have some chats with their engineering and our staff. So that'll shake out in the future here. They are proposing to widen their side of Meeting House. As far as landscape and buffering, there's a lot of different tree requirements. They are proposing to do primarily evergreens to get as much screening as possible. And Planning Commission members were pretty much on board to whatever waivers are required to do that. The owner seemed very willing to screen this property as best as possible to appease the neighbors. They actually are having conversation with the neighbors about doing some off-site screening on neighbors' properties, tree plantings and fencing on their neighboring properties. Now, they are doing what they can to buffer this place and make it a little more
Acceptable.
giant. Yeah, acceptable. Yeah. Excuse me. Let's see, where am I? I mean, they had some other waivers that made sense. Some future information's got to be provided and details worked out with staff. We're not making any recommendations on this. There was lengthy public comment, which seemed to be positive. Again, the applicant willing to work with the neighbors, and hopefully they'll have some continuing conversation. That's in a nutshell. It's a big project. There's a lot of pieces to it. So we just decided to table it until more information is
Do
available.
you have any idea when they're planning to come back?
I don't. Do you have any idea?
In January.
January?
That's what they indicated to us.
Okay. January.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Yep, thank you.
All right, that's all I got.
And just for clarification, for anybody who's not familiar, this is Meeting House Road, just the big project is Meeting House Road, just west of 309 bypass on old State Road.
Yeah.
Not the new Old State Road.
Is there such a thing?
152. Well, it's 152. It's Old State Road, but
Right.
old State
We
Road.
don't call, we call it 152.
Copy that.
Well, I've already went through that with Bethlehem Pike. Like, it's Bethlehem Pike. No, old Bethlehem Pike. No, old Bethlehem Pike.
Exactly.
I'll make a motion. We accept Chris's report as presented.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next up, we have the Conservation Committee. Mr. Schremeyer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello. Our last Conservation Committee meeting was held on November 21st. And we had two major items we discussed. The first one actually took about an hour of the meeting, involved Heritage Conservancy. We met with Matthew Babbitt of the Heritage Conservancy, and they are an open space consulting servicer that works with individuals and municipalities in the procurement of conservation easements. And Mr. Babbitt shared the services and facility fees, I should say. Heritage Conservancy could provide as a third-party facilitator of conservation easements. So what that really means is the conservation easement protects the property from development, and it's permanent. It's put together between the township and the landowner. The Heritage Conservancy is really just a third party that's interested in preserving that conservation easement. So they provide legal services to monitor a conservation easement and also to protect it from any outside people who may want to try to change the easement. So when we do conservation easement in our township, I think it's a Conservation Committee and the supervisors are all in favor of having a third party in there to help protect these easements. The other one is we're planning to send out postcards to a number of large landowners to talk about the benefits of a conservation easement. And we gathered a list at a previous meeting and we kind of decided we'd wait till January after Christmas to discuss who to mail these to and send them out in early in the year. What's happening is I found out through Mr. Shermer, who's also a real estate person, that real estate agents or developers are sending postcards or letters to some large landowners asking them to sell their property for development. And a lot of people really don't want to get rid of their property, but they're what you would call, they have a lot of land, but not a lot of cash because the price of land is going up. But they're farmers or people who've owned the land for a long time. So a conservation easement in this case allows a landowner to put a conservation easement on their property, protect it from development, which a lot of people really prefer to protect their land, not sell it to a developer. And it also gives them some money to live on, basically, so they can keep the property and still get paid for having the conservation easement. So we're going to send out postcards to give them the choice of an alternative to selling to a developer. All of this is based on what the landowner wants to do. You can't force them to do anything one way or the other, but at least it gives them the information. Our meetings are held usually on the third Thursday of odd numbered months. So the next meeting we're going to have is in January 16th. That's all I have.
I have one question. Mr.
Yep.
Tramar. The list that of property owners that you're going to send cards out to. Could you provide that to Greg or the board?
We can, yes.
Okay,
I think Karina just went through it. We'll go through it on our January meeting
okay.
and then we'll, let you see it. So,
Thank you.
I mean, it's not a secret.
No,
It's just-
no, I would like the board to be able to see, who you're going to be
Yeah,
sending cards to.
and we do have a rep that's on our committee that can report to the board also.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And thank the board for the hard work that you guys are doing. And in this area, roughly Heritage Conservancy often works with Bucks County, and then usually into Natural Lands Trust, mostly working in Montgomery County. So we're on the border, and we have been dealing with both. One of the things is a deed restriction. I always compare that to the leash on a dog. A leash on the dog doesn't matter unless there's somebody holding the leash. So the Conservancy acts as holding the leash on the dog, because otherwise, if there's nobody holding the deed restriction and nobody to enforce the deed restriction, it doesn't make much difference. But we are very happy with, and I need to thank Mr. Schremeyer again for working on that board, and they have been very effective over the last couple of years in bringing us a lot of open space.
I'll make a motion to accept Mr. Schrammeyer's report as presented.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we get to
Ready to go? All right. Good evening. I have the November 2024 Pennant Regional Police Department activity report. Police Department responded 829 calls for service in the month of November. 350 of those calls were in East Rock Hill Township. 473 were here in West Rock Hill Township. And 6 of those calls were assisting our neighboring agencies. The department handled 26 traffic crashes in the month of November. 10 crashes were reportable, 16 were non-reportable. With 12 of them occurring in East Rock Hill Township and 14 occurring in West Rock Hill Township. Our criminal activity, we had 7 crimes against property, 4 crimes against persons, 3 crimes against society, and there was a total of 6 Group B offenses, which are your more minor offenses, public drunkenness, disorderly conduct, things of that nature. East Rock Hill Township, the crimes that were reported, we had 1 violation of the local ordinance, a simple assault, a drug call, terroristic threats, and a domestic dispute. West Rock Hill Township, we had a hit and run crash, simple assault, burglary, a case involving child pornography, a disturbance, 2 DUI calls, 2 fraud calls, 2 violations of a local ordinance, 2 thefts, and then 2 trespassing calls. The criminal charges that we filed in the month of November, there were 21 of them. 3 charges of theft by unlawful taking, 3 charges of receiving stolen property, 4 charges of criminal mischief, 2 drug charges, 2 drug paraphernalia charges, 2 charges of simple assault, 2 charges of harassment, a threat charge, a disorderly conduct charge, and a DUI charge. The other police activities for the month of November, the police department handled 222 traffic enforcement details, issued 95 traffic citations, 103 traffic warnings, 22 school checks were conducted, 143 park checks were conducted. Police department conducted 59 business checks, and the officers participated or attended 224 hours of training. So far for the year of 2024, the police department's handled 8,355 calls for service, handled and responded to 270 traffic accidents. We have had 281 offenses reported. Police departments filed 431 criminal charges for the month of November, and officers have either participated or attended in 1,715 hours of training. And that would be your November 2024 police activity report.
Thank you, Chief.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
This is the season. Did we shop with a cop?
We did shop with a cop. Yes, we did.
Excellent.
We shopped with a cop at
Tell us about it.
We shopped with a cop with Plumstead Township Police Department. They hosted an event in Hilltown at the Hilltown Walmart. Sergeant Ruiz and Officer Rosenfeld attended that event. And then we did the big project in Quakertown this year. We shopped for over 300 kids. I was there. Sergeant Ruiz, Officer Alcott, and Officer Rosenfeld were also there. Good events. good times for everybody. So
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
Thanks for doing what you do, chief.
you're welcome, sir.
Appreciate
And
it.
just to make clear that Penridge Police Department also covers the Penridge High School, which has gotten a little bit of notice, but just want to make sure that we thank you guys for also covering the high school and making sure.
Well, we cover all of East Rock Hill Township,
Yeah.
so the high school is there, so. We actually have 6 schools in our jurisdiction, so, and a hospital, so.
Yep, so I know you
You're
guys are
busy.
always busy.
I'll make a motion to approve the police report as
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thank
Good
you.
night, chief.
Okay, the next point of business is the Joint Rec Authority report. I'm the vice chair for the Joint Rec Authority, so this being lazy part of December, I'm not going to get up and go to the podium. I'm just going to read the report from up here. So, Joint Rec Authority met on December 4th. For various reasons, I was unable to attend, but we went over fundraising, volunteer membership, snack stand, pool maintenance, budget, looking into conserving the property, membership pricing, salaries, update, and trying to work on a feasibility study. So we had our notes from December, and one second. December meeting started at 7 o'clock. I was not there. Essentially, everybody else was. Several of them are sitting here. We have board members in the room. If I say something wrong, they can correct me. Fundraising is keyed up and is ready to start in January. Ms. Miklos made a request for volunteer recruitment. We're also working on membership recruitment, one-day passes as a way of getting people interested. Holiday House is looking for somebody to help run the snack stand. We have some interest from some local businesses, but we're always interested if anybody else has ideas, or if anybody else who has a food service license be interested in branching out as sort of a branch location. Holiday House does have a snack stand on the side. No fryers, just basic reheating. Pool's been winterized. We have been able to drain everything. All the stuff is put away. We are going through the winter. We have the final budget, total revenue, expect about $250,000 for next year. Right now we have 30,000 from Sellersville, 13,000 from West Rock Hill. We're looking at about a 15% price increase in order to deal with inflation and the increasing cost of chlorine and all of our services. Our expenditures, again, 250,000. We're looking at about a 10% increase based on most recent inflation. Capital improvement, we are hoping to get donations for ARP money for about 47,000, which goes towards a new pump, repainting the water line along the pool, seeing if we can replace the skimmers, recreation, the desk software. Basically, you have a software program which allows you to keep track of who's coming in, essentially flash a badge and it zips through just like when you're scanning at the checkout. New picnic tables and various upgrades to parts of the building, etc. We're working on new estimates for a new pump. We're looking at a manager at $25 an hour, assistant manager $24 an hour, lifeguards $16, returning lifeguards $19 an hour, head lifeguard $20, and general maintenance to be paying about $25 an hour. We agreed for payment of the bills and then went into an executive session at 9 o'clock. So it was a fairly long meeting. That's the end of the report. If anybody has anything that I missed, otherwise I will ask for approval of those minutes.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we get to our tax collector.
Okay. Good evening. For the month of December, I've only collected $583.62 in annual taxes and a street light tax of $35.61. Wrapping things up for the end of the year, taxes are all due in my office by the 31st of December. So everyone realize it must be physically in my office. Don't put it in the mail December 31st because that doesn't count. Liens will be filed January 1st of 2025 for any unpaid taxes, which are sent down to Bucks County Tax Claim for delinquent tax collection. I will have office. I am off in my office every Tuesday from 10 to 1, and this year it falls on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So fabulous. I will be here Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve from 10 to 1 to collect taxes. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept Suzanne's report as presented.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and we get to our engineer, Mr. Bello.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first item on the report is the TBO, Telford Borough Authority well issues. We have representatives here tonight from the authority engineer. If you want to just give them a short overview of what's being proposed.
Thank you. My name is Patrick DeGangi. I'm with CKS Engineers. We represent Telford Borough Authority. We're here tonight to request a waiver of land development for the construction of two small building additions at Wells 5 and Wells 7 of Telford Borough Authority. The building additions are for PFAS treatment. The Well 5 property is located along County Line Road. It's a property 2 acres in size, owned by Telford Borough Authority. The building addition proposed there is 44 feet by, gotta look at my notes here for that, 32 feet, 44 by 32, roughly a 1,408 square foot building addition. Based on preliminary comments from the township engineer, there was a zoning issue brought to our attention with regard to the rear yard setback. This dark blue represents the building addition. This is the well house built. And then this is the property boundary. Initially, we had this building addition set back a little further, in which case it would have exceeded an existing nonconformity with regard to the rear yard setback. The setbacks for all the property lines here are 100 feet. In order to not exceed that existing nonconformity, we moved the building addition forward, and now we are in line with the existing well house building. So we are not expanding that existing nonconformity. It currently sits 70 feet from the rear yard setback. There is also an existing nonconformity to the side yard, which is 28 feet. But as you can see, our building addition is opposite that side of the existing building. I'm sure you're aware of PFAS contamination in the area. The authority is, looking to address PFAS contamination in this well. They did receive a PennVest grant to construct PFAS treatment on 4 of their municipal wells. Any questions with regard to well 5?
I do. That particular property, that's down right at the bridge on County Line Road
Yes.
where Barnt Road crosses.
Yes.
It's, is that a floodplain down there? And you're really close to the east branch of the Perkiomen.
This, I think you might be thinking of well 4 now.
This is well 5, right?
Yeah, this is well 5. This is a little further up.
Is this the one right down to the bridge off of County Line Road?
Yeah. So, all right, yes, there is,
Right.
there is the stream in the back here.
Yeah.
That would be Gold Mine Gulch,
Yeah.
Gold Mine Stream.
Right, it's not,
All right,
it's
all right.
not close enough to each east branch to be in the floodplain of each.
Okay.
This is a tributary to the Perkiomen. But here again, we're not extending any further than what.
Do you do any kind of buffering around that building as far as plants or the neighbors?
We had not planned that, but that's always a possibility. It's pretty,
It's a farmhouse down there,
it
close
sits,
to.
it sits
Yeah.
pretty far back. There really isn't a nearby neighbor. That shows up even on this, which is based on an aerial.
Yeah, it backs up to DeBroda's old
Yeah,
farm, the Three Arch Barn.
yeah.
That's,
I know where you are. Thank you.
Well, 7. That addition, little smaller, building addition. That's 40 feet by 28 feet, 1,120 feet or square feet addition. It sits on the Drager site, within an easement, 1.8 acre easement. There are no setback issues or anything related. The zoning, with regard to this, here again, it's a very similar project for PFAS treatment. And here again, we're requesting a waiver of land development. Any questions on well 7?
I have none.
no, not really. I am somewhat surprised that we had PFAS up at out in the middle of the field by DeBroda's off of gold mine. But I know that you guys have been doing a lot of work making sure that the water is conditioned. Our family had an office in Telford for a long time, and right behind us we had the TCE dripper right off of Ridge and an alley.
And it's worth saying, both projects have been reviewed. The sketch plans submitted in conjunction with the waiver request have been reviewed by the township engineer, as well as the planning commission. Planning commission recommended approval of the waiver.
And I know that the water quality is getting more and more stringent, so you guys got to do what you got to do.
Yes, as far as contamination is concerned, these wells are under the current state MCL for PFAS. However, they do exceed the EPA MCL that has been proposed. It has not yet been adopted by the state, but we anticipate that shortly. Unfortunately, having contamination enable us to get invest money for this too.
So you're here this evening for waiver of land development plan for both sites, right?
For both sites.
And I was just gonna say, just for clarity, all the treatment equipment, everything is self-contained within the 2 building additions. That's been
Correct.
proposed. There's nothing external to the.
Nothing
building.
external, and they're, split face block buildings. They're going to match color wise with the existing well house buildings out there.
I have a question. I have a question first, Mary, please, before you go. Why would we waive land development on a project like this? This is a project like any other project. It's a general question for staff. Mary,
I
you
can
maybe-
give some guidance on that.
Okay, go ahead, Mary.
I've represented other municipalities that have had issues with PFO and PFAS, and it's almost universal that in order to get the building constructed quickly, get the water treated quickly, that land development is waived to facilitate the speed of the process.
Okay. Fair enough.
And along that line, we anticipate bidding this next month. Start construction March, April.
I would like to ask, Mr. Collingwood had mentioned maybe some buffering for that one property there by that farm. I mean, I would like to look at the other property too for buffering. If we could possibly think about that when you do your bidding or whatever.
Not a problem. We can work with the township staff.
Yes.
If that's what you're looking for.
My question was, Pat, is TDA willing to pay all of the township costs involved in this?
I was going to get the first waiver and then potentially ask for a waiver of fees or propose at least we pay the one fee for both sites. Since it's being handled as one project. But since you brought that up,
Well, that actually.
we'd like a little bit of relief.
Pat, that wasn't my question. My question was, like, the township engineer reviewed this, and there will be costs incurred by the township to process the waiver. Those were the costs that I was talking about.
That won't be a problem. We'll reimburse that.
Especially if Steve inspects or anything like that.
I'm not sure she heard you.
That won't be a problem. We will reimburse that. I don't think we have a PSA with the township, but yeah, we can set something up.
So you want to break this into a two-part?
But wait,
discussion?
wait, you
Hold on.
didn't answer Pat's question yet. Pat wanted to know if the fees for the land development application that you're waiving can be waived, the fees, not just the application.
Right, there's two questions here, and then that's why I say we should have a two-part discussion.
What's your recommendation, Mary?
That's completely and utterly up to you. That's a policy decision.
Okay. So we're gonna waive land development, but we should
I
not
think,
waive.
I think land development should be waived.
Okay.
I'm not in favor of
I'm
waiving the fee.
I'm not either.
You can do what you need to do.
And are we talking about a fee for each site or a fee for the project?
Whether it's two halves or one, I don't see a problem whether it's.
I would, you can incorporate it, but there's two separate sites. So there should be a fee for each one, but if you want to make it as one fee, then you can work that out with the staff.
Yeah, for land development, both of those, I don't think are going to be annoying anything but the corn and the cows for where they currently are. But it would be nice to get some trees just in case so that it gets screened a little bit, which is what
Mhm.
Mr. Culling was thinking of. But otherwise, if we just do it, if it's two halves or one whole, same thing. Two sites, one site. Or two sites, one agreement.
I don't follow you. It's two sites.
It's the same amount of money,
Okay.
whether it's broken in.
Are you understanding that?
I'm not following you either. I think the fee is roughly,
I wasn't following him.
I think the
either.
fee is roughly $15,000, correct?
Correct. The
Correct.
difference is between 30 is 14,000 or 28,000.
Yes.
My recommendation is you pay the fee for both, 28,000. That's my recommendation, but I'm only one board member.
That's what I agree, suggested at the beginning.
Yep.
Your thoughts?
2-1, it doesn't matter.
You should say.
No, there are two sites.
Do you want me to make it in the form of a motion, Mr. Shermer?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make it in the form of a motion that the fee paid 28,000 for the two parcels.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Thank you.
And we need the second part,
The
And-
waiver.
to waive the land development.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Just one question for the board. Oh, did you, be after you vote?
So I'm going to make a motion then that we waive the land development for both sites.
I'll second that.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion-
Do you want a resolution for the next meeting, or do you want me to send a letter to them memorializing?
I think a letter should be sufficient.
It's fine by us.
Whatever our
Yeah.
solicitor.
Letter, Mary.
Got it.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we next get to land development, 654, CSAC.
We have representatives here tonight.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Sean Duffy, attorney with Obermeyer here on behalf of the applicant. With me tonight is Scott Meese of Meese Engineering, along with the applicant, Mike Tullio, who's in the back, who's the president of CSAC. We're here tonight requesting conditional final preliminary land development approval for a property located on Forest Road. The property is zoned planned commercial 2. The applicant is proposing to develop the property with a 9,750 square foot structure that's going to house a landscaping business, which is a G4 contracting use and is permitted by right in the PC2 zoning district. Associated improvements are going to include, we're going to have a one-way driveway for ingress and egress, a parking area to the rear of the property that'll have 7 parking spaces along with 1 handicap space. And then there's going to be a stormwater management facility located in the rear of the property. Accompanying the application is a saldo and stormwater management waiver request letter that was submitted by Scott Meese on October 10th of 2024. We're also in receipt of the Township Engineer Review Letter of December 3rd of 2024. And then, as was described earlier in the meeting, this was reviewed by the Planning Commission, which recommended preliminary final conditional approval of the project. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Meese, who can go through some of the more technical aspects of the project along with the waiver requests. Thank you.
Just to give you an overview of the property, the project, oh, this isn't going to show up there. It'll show up here. This is Forest Road here. The property is located to the southeast side of Forest Road. It's approximately 2.8 acres in size. This is kind of a high point in the road right here. It's pretty flat through here. And then the slope of the property is that everything slopes away from the road. That's why we put the stormwater BMP at the low point of the property. It is in the PC2 zoning district. It is a one-way in, one-way out driveway. The 9,750 square foot building is located right here. We have a residential property on our easterly side, so we are proposing the 25-foot buffer plantings along that boundary line. There's a section of woods located behind the parking, so the building and the parking are between the road and this section of woods, which is about 90 feet in width. When we get to the waiver requests, or it's actually a question that you have parking lot buffer requirements, and we want the buffering that's required for the residential property and the existing trees to be sufficient to satisfy those needs. And there is something in the ordinance that says that existing vegetation can be used toward that requirement. That's a general overview. If you have any specific questions about the site, to answer those.
I got one question. Yep. The property behind you, the property behind this property.
Back here.
Yes. Is it vacant right now? Anything going on there?
I know this one is vacant. This
Yep.
one's residential. I know this is woods back.
The reason I ask you that is because for buffering, to relieve some buffering, in the wintertime, the leaves come off those trees, so you can see through that woods there. That's why my question is, what's the neighboring property? Is there somebody occupying that now, or is it just vacant?
That I don't know.
Okay, well, we can look into that.
Mr. Kaiser, that is the Eastern Montgomery land development plan. There's a conditionally approved plan for contractor services building on that.
Okay.
It's basically wooded, vegetated right now.
Okay.
They haven't acted on their plan, but there is a conditionally approved plan for that site.
Okay.
And we do have a section of woods along our property line that's approximately 25 feet wide.
Okay.
Okay, so their building, and look at your building.
There you go.
So you're looking for preliminary final approval, correct?
Yes, there's some miscellaneous comments that Steve Bell is requesting.
This is where I was going next. I was going to go to Mr. Bella. For your input?
I mean, as Mr. Meese indicated, there's a handful of engineering items, mostly technical in nature. I think the more significant issues, at hand are the waiver requests, in particularly road frontage improvement.
Could you talk about that?
Yes, our ordinance requires in general widening curb and sidewalk, repaving of the road along the frontage of the site. for any land development project. It came up at the planning commission stage, and as Mr. Durstein discussed a little bit earlier, this is in our newer PC2 zoning district. It is the first property to be developed under the PC2 on this stretch of Forest Road. You have another development application on the other side of Bethlehem Pike on Forest Road, and we are looking at some improvements of Forest Road on that side of the project. So there was discussion of a fee in lieu of improvements or potential deferral of improvements on the frontage of this project at the planning commission meeting. I guess, we'll be looking for the board's opinion on.
What do you mean by deferral? I mean, how long?
Well, I guess that's a question for the applicant. I think your intent was whenever in the future the township would look for those improvements, you would install them at your expense. Is that
Correct.
your intent?
Deal with or whatever it is on the short end of the stick. So if it comes up, other ones get developed, and you want them.
If you could just state your name so that we have it, or,
Michael Tullio.
okay. Sorry, just unfortunately you're not by the microphone, so you got a good, well, yeah, if you could.
So in effect, there is no time limit
Yep.
on that deferral as you're proposing it.
Yeah, we could make a note. It would run with the property.
Okay.
Okay. Mike, and my name is Michael Tullio. I'm the president of CSAC and developing the property.
Yeah, just for clarification of why I think it personally it needs to be clarified, is because if you take the fee in lieu of now, and with this, if we do the improvements 5 years from now or 10 years from now, they could cost double, and then it would cost the taxpayers the difference in the money. So if we're going to defer it at your expense, then you will pay for them what they are at the current rate if we do that.
I agree. That's why I didn't want to see you guys come out on the short end of the stick.
Correct.
I would
We're
defer.
making sure we're clear on that. Okay, Mary, you had a
100%.
question or something?
Yeah, conversely, Jay, the problem with deferring it is that this property owner might not own them when you're ready to put them in. And even if you record it on record, now you're tapping some guy on the shoulder who signed a bunch of papers at settlement and had no idea what he was looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden saying, could we please have $30,000 to put curbs along the side of your road? There's an inequity there that the board should be mindful of.
So maybe the smart thing would be is to have the improvements done now, possibly. Although there is an issue with one of them, maybe, right? Mr. Mala?
Drainage in this typical standard of storm sewer would be a problem there because it's a relatively flat area with shallow swales. And if you put the storm pipe in the ground, it would not discharge at the end of the property. So a standard storm sewer system, which you would envision in the improvements, would not be required, but we could do something with it.
There's a way around that, though. There's a way around that.
There's a way around it with a shoulder and a regraded swale or something to that effect. We could work that. I'm just saying it wouldn't be this stereotypical.
Sure.
No, but that would allow the other work to be completed.
Yes.
Or on the other end, just alternative, it would run with the property in full disclosure. I mean, so I hear what she's saying, but at the same time, and I'm not going to argue. I don't necessarily agree because someone that's buying a property that's making an investment.
I
He's
hear
gonna
what
do
you're
the
saying too, and
homework.
I like what you're saying. However, I will point out there was one incident in this township where someone bought a property and decided to get a whole bunch of things, animals and stuff, and didn't really read the fine print on what they could do with that property, and it cost them dearly. Okay? So we would like to
Whatever you guys want.
Yes, we would like
Okay.
to I would personally like to make sure that we're clear, and if the way to move this forward is to do the improvements, then I think maybe that should be done.
I
So that
agree.
we don't run into that problem later down the road.
So the only thing that I would ask, Steve, we do them at the very end. So I'm not destroying them during construction, especially with new paving and all that.
All right, they would be secured with the development agreement.
No, but I just, from a timing standpoint, I don't want you
No,
thinking, assuming that I have to do them first. I'd rather do them at the end.
I don't.
You'll work that out with the staff.
Yeah, okay, that's
Manager
fine.
and him.
That's fine.
Mary, you okay with that?
I got it. There's no waiver of the road improvement. So on Steve's letter, items, B, C, D, A, B, C, and D, or no, B, C, and D would not be waived. But you're still okay with waiving the traffic impact study and the slope, base and slope size. Is that correct?
Which is A and B.
It's A and,
Well,
A
is
and
traffic
E,
study.
A and E,
As in Edward.
correct. Right, so the,
A and E, right.
right, the traffic study is an issue of limited vehicles using this site.
I'm okay.
It wouldn't show.
I'm okay with it.
And, the basin is very shallow, is that correct?
Yeah.
Scott,
Yeah,
it's so,
It's like 2.5 feet.
yeah, 2.5 feet deep. It's not a significant safety concern.
So somehow that
I
has
guess
to
I
be,
just would like to weigh in the fact that, I mean, if you're waiving the stormwater, but are you still saying you want to see road widening curbs and sidewalks?
That's what we're saying.
Okay, because the problem with putting curbs in, you can't have like curbs in a swale. If you widen the road and you put a curb in, you have to put the inlets and piping in, which won't go anywhere.
I think we have to look at it more holistically,
Okay.
and it's curb widening and sidewalk or an alternate that we could agree to with the township. It may be shoulders and swale instead of a curb
I just want
to make it, to make it
To
work.
make sure if we're not waiving it, that we're.
Yeah, I think if it's,
Essentially, you can't put curbs there is what I'm saying.
right, we may be looking for an alternate improvement for the curb.
Okay.
Which would be the shoulders and the grading.
All right, that's. Well, first of all, hello, Mr. Duffy. And
Hi, Mrs. Everly. How are you?
good. How
I
are
hope
you?
you're feeling well.
Thank you very much. But second of all, Steve, what are you saying? If we're not waiving curbs, then they're installing curbs. Like, I don't understand the point you're making.
Yeah, I think Scott had a good point. With the drainage concern, curb would exacerbate that. So the only way around it is do something alternate for the curb.
Or install stormwater improvement.
Right, well, the stormwater improvement that they would need to do is a swale, and that can't work with a curb. But we could make it work with a shoulder, which isn't necessarily required. So essentially you'd be getting a shoulder instead of the curb.
Will that work? Will that work?
Yes. I know it makes it difficult to put that in writing, but we could work with you on that.
Well, I want to make it,
I'm sorry, I apologize before, but we just have to spend a minute on this because, so there's no waiver of B, C, and D, but the township engineer may, in his discretion, allow a shoulder to facilitate stormwater management. Is that correct?
It's actually in lieu of curb. Yeah. It facilitates the stormwater, but it's being installed in lieu of curb.
All right, got it.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Are the rest of the items on Steve's letter, December 3rd, will comply?
The only other item that we need to discuss really is item 7, which is the recreation land or fee. And if you do the calculation for recreation land, it's like 3,000 square feet of land, which is very little. And if you do the calculation for the fee, it would be around $1,200. So we're recommending the fee. We're recommending the fee in lieu of the land.
To the mic, Scott.
Yeah.
one more time, Scott.
Sure. The recreation land, you either dedicate land or you dedicate it or a fee in lieu of, and the land dedication would only be like 3,000 square feet. So that doesn't make sense. The fee in lieu of would be around $1,200, and we're requesting we would do the fee in lieu of instead of the dedication of land.
Works for me.
agree.
The only other thing, Mary, that I'd like to bring up on the letter is 8 and 9, water and sewer. We've had this situation before. This is a property located within Berkshire Regional Authority's water and sewer service area, but there are no facilities in the area. So they'd be installing a well and a holding tank with the understanding that if and when public facilities get to the site, they'll have to connect to public facilities.
So they'll have to do a holding tank agreement.
Correct.
And how does that tie into? Okay.
So the agreement will require them to connect to public sewer when it's available.
Right, exactly.
I just wanted to point that out.
And I'm sorry, Greg's computer froze for 1 minute when you guys made the final decision, which was going to about the recreation land in lieu of. And it came back on when you were saying, sounds good to me. I didn't hear what sounded good to you.
We're gonna take the fee in lieu of the money.
Okay.
Yeah, tot lotter playground at the commercial services doesn't make a lot of sense, so we'll put that towards other uses. And steep slopes, not floodplain. Yeah, I have no other questions.
It covers it, Steve.
So,
Yes.
so is the board planning to direct me to prepare a preliminary final resolution for the next meeting?
I would make that a motion.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You've got your marching orders.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good Christmas, Mr. Duffy.
You too, Mary. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That's gonna be your nick. Okay, Carillion Hill.
Caroline Hill.
Carillion. Well, that's the bell.
There you go.
Caroline's and Carillion's the. Although you can say of everyone's.
Didn't know if Steve wanted to give an introduction or just want me to go ahead.
Go right ahead. Jason.
All right.
Talking to the microphone so we can hear.
Sure. My name is Jason Smealand. I'm with Lenape Valley Engineering. It's been a while since I've been here.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Jason.
it's good to see you too. Where this is a 17, how do you say Carillion Hill? Is that how it's supposed to be said?
Talk to the attorney.
We vacated the road, so I don't know that that matters anymore.
That's what I thought it was, Mary.
Caroline.
For 24 years, it was Carolyn.
Carolyn.
When I
Well, I'll
looked
try
at
to
plans.
remember that.
Yeah.
Carolyn Hill. So the
Oh, what do you
17 Carolyn Hill. This property may look familiar to you because at one point in time, I believe it was WB Homes had submitted a pretty intense land develop or subdivision plan. It's in the SR zoning district, so minimum lot size for single family homes is 20,000 square feet. There's also other uses available in the SR zoning district. They abandoned that plan. I'm not 100% sure why it was, but there was a number of issues. It's a challenging site with some slopes and some trees. But I also think that probably the most challenging thing was the sewer, which was our most challenging thing to work out with this project. So we were actually before the Plan Commission quite some time ago. But we were held up because we had to work out the sewer connection. So we're proposing just a 2-lot subdivision. The property is about 11 acres gross in area, but you can see that a lot of it is right of way along 152. It's actually 3 parcels in the existing condition, but under 1 deed. And then, of course, Caroline Hill right of way was abandoned at some point in the recent past. But that green area that you see there on the plan, that is an easement for TBA that was established as part of the vacation. And that is a sewer easement. So the existing house is connected to the public sewer system. It pumps up to the development up the hill from us, and we'll be doing the same thing. So the challenge was that our sewer comes from West Rock Hill, flows through Sellersville Borough and gets treated by Telford, well, but it's in Telford Borough's service area and gets treated by the Penridge wastewater treatment plant. So there was a lot of coordination there. There's also an agreement that has to be modified, which is currently underway. We have all those issues worked out, and we're comfortable now coming to you and asking for a preliminary and final approval. There's no such thing as a simple subdivision, and except for the sewer, this pretty much was, we're basically cutting the property in half. We had discussed with the planning commission, requesting waivers for the curbs, sidewalks, road widening, because it's a minor subdivision, offering the fee in lieu. We also talked to Steve about providing some more detailed calculations for the stormwater management. At this point in time, we don't know exactly what type of house will be built here. So the owner of the property intends to either build a house or sell this at some point in the future. So the exact footprint of the house and the exact location could potentially change. So we were asking for deferral of the stormwater management requirements. So normally you would have a full design, all kinds of, escrow for the basins or anything that you would be building. In this case, what we did is we provided a full design minus the infiltration testing, but a full design to show that we can actually do the stormwater management improvements. But at the time when the house is built, we would be doing the stormwater management application as if it was a vacant lot, which we do all the time in West Rock Hill. The only tricky part with that is that we have to make sure that there's a declaration of covenants and restrictions that goes with the property, and of course a note on the plan. I think we've done that in West Rock Hill, although it's been a while since we've done that, but to me it makes sense. So we'd be deferring the stormwater and the erosion controls until we actually know when we're building the house. And aside from that, everything else in the letter is will comply. We'll be offering the fee for the recreational land. I don't think you want any rec land here. And that's really it. Happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any questions. I think it's time that this parcel of property gets moved forward. This has been in front of us for many, many years. This was Walter Senko's property from a long time ago, before the development was split and the townhouses were put up in Sellersville there. So, Steve, if there's anything that should hold this up that you can think of?
No, I just wanted to point out that, there is a request for waiver of street improvements. We have a standard fee in lieu of for a single residential property.
And you're willing to comply with that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
We'll be paying the fee.
And then, as Jason indicated, the deferral of the stormwater and erosion control would require a covenant being recorded against the property.
Mary, is that okay?
Yeah, that's the only, other than, show a fake location for the house, fake size of the house and make up a stormwater system. That's the only thing you can really do at this point.
Right. They showed the viability of the lot to do stormwater, so I'm comfortable that it will be able to be achieved once somebody proposes it. But
okay,
as indicated, they could move the house anywhere on the property or put, any size house on there, which will change the design. That's it. Everything else is pretty straightforward as was indicated. And I guess you need to make the final decision on the fee.
I'll make the motion.
Recreation there.
You're gonna,
Yes.
yes, but we have to, is the amount of money for the fee?
Still on the fee schedule.
Okay, cool. Very good.
Already said.
Thank you.
I think we're all done.
Yep. All right, Mr. Collingwood.
So I'll make that motion to approve.
I
To
will second.
authorize the solicitor.
We'll authorize the solicitor. Thank you.
Jason, I'll get you a copy of the resolution prior to the next meeting so that you can send an email or a letter saying that the conditions are acceptable.
Perfect. That sounds great.
Okay, and I
Right
will
up
second
in-
the motion and
All right.
call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Finish it up in January.
Yeah, well,
Good.
It's always good to be here in West Rock Hill. And Mr. Kaiser, you haven't changed. You haven't changed at all.
A little lighter.
Wait.
Good to see you, Jason.
Okay, then the last item on the agenda is the reduction of the Grandview Hospital escrow. I think that the numbers were included, I believe, in the bills list. We recommended that the project is complete, but they have a maintenance period requirement. So we hold back the required 15% of maintenance escrow.
Good.
It's good.
I have no questions as long as, remember, 20 years ago, they put the restriction cap on the wrong side of the pipe coming out and blew the cap about 40 feet across the detention basin, but so far it looks like everything else is going pretty well.
Okay, you
I
need,
have no problem.
you need a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
I will second.
I have one question. Mary, you're okay with everything then that, Steve has talked about? We
We
can
went through it this week.
reduce it except for the 15%.
Right.
Right. I'm good.
Okay.
Vote.
I'll call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And that's all I have unless there's any questions.
Okay.
If not, I'll make a motion to approve the engineer's report as presented.
I will second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And we now go to our solicitor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only item on the solicitor report tonight is authorization to execute the fill agreement that's in your packets. You had a similar, very similar agreement with another contractor a while ago. In this case, a contractor doing work for Northam Water Authority wants to deposit the clean fill on the Moore property in a manner that will assist in the creation of sports fields on the property. Steve's gone through the excruciating details of how that will be done and compacted, et cetera, et cetera. And this agreement just memorializes those discussions.
And just for clarification, for the future, anybody in the room, the Moore property is the property behind us and to the left, which the township bought many years ago and has long been proposed as future soccer fields, baseball fields, sports fields, etc.
Park, part of our park.
Yep, part of our park. It's currently undeveloped because it slopes. So we're getting dirt and we're going to make some level portions out of what is currently a slope section.
9,000 cubic yards.
Yes.
That's a lot of dirt.
Okay, we need a motion? I'll make that motion.
I will second.
And move forward.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we get dirt. And we get to our manager, Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item is authorization to auction the John Deere backhoe on municipal bid. Last month's meeting, you tabled it. The board needs to set a reserve price when we put it on municipal bid.
I'm gonna make a motion that we set the reserve price for $35,000.
I'll second that.
Which looks like it's the going rate of what a machine like that goes for. From our review and discussion and so forth.
Too much time on eBay. Or a lot of time on eBay.
So Mr. Lippincott, it's all polished up and ready to go, right? Photographs.
I don't have the photographs. I'm going to get the photographs tomorrow.
All right. Get it washed and waxed.
Yep.
Nice. Detailed. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I'll call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we get a solo backhoe. And we get to the 2025 budget.
The budget was advertised from last month's meeting. There is no tax increase. Roads will be significantly more. It went from $610,225 compared to $550,63. The Holiday House pool is still budgeted at $13,000. There is a new part-time employee for the office and a new part-time employee for the Public Works. And the Penridge Senior Center will get the annual $2,500 donation. Other than that, it pretty much stays the same.
I would like to,
With no tax increase.
yep, with no tax increase. I would like to consider both for this and also for coming up for old business of a one-time contribution towards Holiday House for the 9,000 to get a pump.
I'm sorry,
And
how much?
9,000, because I believe the pump was 8,600 last that I checked.
Thank you.
So, no second, so the motion dies. And we go ahead with the adoption of the 2025 budget. I will move to adopt the budget.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I do have one additional item. North Penn has set the date for the meeting here at the Township Building about the water line. The Board of Supervisors requested a meeting here for the residents. That'll be Thursday, January 9th, 7 PM here at the Township Building. It's also up on our website.
And in case anybody hasn't heard, North Penn Water Authority is now working on connecting their water line to run over to the hospital, which would be essentially a supply line, essentially tying in their water system, which is based out of Forest Park down in Chalfont, to allow them to get water over to Grandview Hospital. Right now, Grandview Hospital works off of well water, which is Selzo Borough's old system. All the rest of North Penn Water Authority is supplied by water coming off of Peace Valley Park and surface water. And as we found out from a couple months ago when we had a fire at Grandview, we are not entirely certain of how much water pressure we get at the fire hydrants they have to turn all of the fire hydrants on over at Grandview. So they've got a nice new big addition, and this will make sure that the big addition has sufficient water pressure if anything goes wrong. Yeah.
Chief's done.
Okay. I don't think we need any action, but we would like to invite everybody coming out January 9th, and we are at 7
PM.
7 PM.
Do I need to make a motion to accept the manager's report as presented?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And we're up for new business, if anybody has
Old
any.
first.
Yep.
Old
Full business.
Old business first, sorry. ARP funding.
Mr. Collingwood?
We have allocated probably, I don't know what the percentage is, but most of the money to various organizations and projects in the township. I think, Mr. Lippincott, what do we have remaining?
Approximately 38,500.
138?
Well, no, 38. 38,000.
38. And I think we had talked in the last meeting or suggested that before the end of the year, before we risk losing any of the money, that we transfer the remaining amount into the general fund.
Are you making that in a motion?
I will. I
Okay.
did. I am making it a motion. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to second that
I
motion.
just don't know if there'd be any more
There
discussion.
can be discussion. Yeah.
I would ask to split that and give half of the 38 towards Holiday House to get them up and running for next year.
There is a, in my view, there is a way that they can get money for next year. We cannot talk about it publicly.
Oh, I know.
But,
That was not my motion. My motion
No,
was
you're-
for
No,
the
I was-
entire amount to go into,
he was trying to,
I'm talking about amending the motion
okay,
or amending my amendment that if we're going to have 38 into the budget, could we kick 8? Oh, could we proceed to push 8,000 towards Holiday House so that they can get the pump up and running?
I'm not changing my motion.
Understood. Okay. Motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I spoke too soon. And we have any other new business?
I have none.
I have none.
I don't have anything else which I haven't already spoken on, so I have none. And so we get to public comment. Any discussion on issues of concern or from the neighbors or anybody here? Going once.
Old dependable. So I guess I looked into, Don White, looked into, the gas leak a little bit. I don't know, some of the stuff disturbed me. A lot of it, what I'm going to say, you guys probably already know, but I'm not sure the public knows. That gas pipeline pays no taxes to West Rockville Township. They pay now on the building they have, but for all the years they've been there, they have paid us no taxes. It's a easement, so they don't own the land and they don't pay taxes on it. The owners of the land pay taxes on it. And I'm assuming the taxes are pretty low because the land's useless. They get police protection, they get fire protection, and they use our roads. So now, clearly, I know that the township can't do anything about this, but the community ought to know this, and the community ought to start talking to our legislators that, hey, this is an 8,000-mile pipeline that pays no taxes. They pay nothing to support their communities. It's kind of wacky. So whatever that's worth, call your legislators. The other part that I found out is that pipeline is supposed to have an EPA, an emergency action plan, on file that is coordinated with the local authorities. As near as I can tell, that hasn't happened. That's law. It's mandated by law. U.S. Department of Transportation's Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. That's a handful. PHMSA. A written emergency plan, and it's supposed to be coordinated with you guys. Identifies potential leaks, notifies relevant personnel, coordinating with emergency responders, public communication strategies, and post-incident analysis. So it'll be interesting. We should be able to get an analysis of why that nipple broke. Was it 80 years old? That pipeline was built in the 40s. They're required to share their EAP with local emergency responders. I haven't asked the fire companies, but I'll bet they don't know anything about it. I bet there's been no coordination. They're supposed to also be identifying pipeline markers so that if something happens, you can identify where you're at on that pipeline. I've never seen any of those. I don't know whether they're there or not. So again, just information. Maybe you guys want to, I believe you guys are looking into this stuff. The other thing is, I don't believe there was any evacuation after this incident. Now that's an 1,100 pound PSI pipeline. That's a lot of pressure. And it's a 30-inch pipe. Evacuation area is supposed to be 2,269 feet from that pipeline. I don't believe there was any evacuation done. That's all I got. So do with that what you want. Call your representatives, folks. It's a little crazy that we don't get anything out of that pipeline.
Mhm.
No, it's privately held.
Yep, and just for background, the state rep is Craig Stats, and down in Sellersville is Shelby Labs. Okay, any other public comment? Lana?
All right, maybe since we have some funds that are left, they're not being allocated anywhere else. We could get Old Bethlehem Pike repaved. Between the grant and the builder, there was an agreement that was drawn up that after the public water was put in, that road was supposed to be repaved. It was repaved up to where the new construction, where the lot and where they did the circle, up to Old Bethlehem Pike, just where the development starts. And from there on up, it has not been done. That road's horrible to drive on.
We share that with you.
So,
Greg, would you Let her know who's responsible for that road.
No, don't tell me East Rock Hill. Do not tell me, because I've went through this with you so many times. East Rock Hill owns one side of the road and West Rock Hill owns the other side
You're
of the road.
correct. You're correct.
I've been through this so many times with different things with this township, and I'm done listening to that. You need to step up then and contact East Rock Hill, and somebody needs to get it fixed.
Yes, unfortunately, the road is just like Holiday House Pool, the redheaded stepchild nobody is responsible for. Because it's always the other
We can
person's
thank her
side.
for her comments.
You know,
I can report to the board that that section of road will be repaved next year.
Early or late?
It has to be bid out, so East Rock Hill's bidding it out, and it's on their list to do next year. It'll be in the summer. I don't know exactly when.
Thank you, Steve.
okay, any other public comment? Looking, any, but, Mr. Dietz.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, guys. How are you? Good evening. How are you? First thing I want to do is, it's been a long day for me. I had a mini break. I'm sorry. First thing I want to say to you guys is, I have $200 here for the kids' fist for the tout next year for me and my wife, which David's not here, so I'm going to give it to you. That's
Wow.
you.
I don't know if that's good.
Well, that's good.
Here, I'll tell you what I'm going to do in front of the public.
Okay, that's fine.
Hand that to Sherry.
And I will, there's more coming.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It's a little early.
I know. Well, we're trying our best for the kids. So, the second thing I'm bringing up here right now is, me as West Rock Hill, resident, I am sickened by what happened at the polls. There's 3 of you guys sitting here on the board, and I'm sickened because you guys are Democrat, Republican, whatever you are supposed to do what you do. One person sitting on this board went and did not do what he was supposed to do for Republican or Democrat and pushed something and lied to people. And I was right there fighting against him. And I'm not bringing up names, and everybody knows here who it is. And you can sit there and smile, Don, but I'm telling you right now, if that ever happens again, I will go to Bucks County Courthouse and I will file a grievance and have that person removed from this stand, because that is absolutely the wrong thing. He is supposed to be for the residents of West Rock Hill, and he is misrepresenting you guys as a resident. When you say you're not going to raise taxes, and he's sitting there trying to promote something that's going to raise taxes, that's falsely accused. And I totally agree with that. I do not agree with him. I think that was totally uncalled for what happened. So you guys know, all right? So I'm bringing the public comment that that person ought to know that was not right. And he keeps pushing for something that is not right. And you guys are trying to do your thing to help them out. And that is not what needs to happen here. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Any other public comment?
looking through. We only got like 20 people here, so it's pretty easy to figure out if there's any more public comment. Anybody else? Okay, so it is now 8 going once, going twice, no more public comment. So it is now 8:39. And I will move to close.
I'll
the
make a
meeting.
motion. We move into,
Executive session, sorry.
Adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Your first guess was pretty good. You're getting good at this.